You're tuning in to WellFound's Ask a Recruiter, where we sit down with recruiters to share their advice on the hiring process. My name's Rachel. I'm from the product support team at WellFound. Today's Ask a Recruiter is on how to build your personal brand to get more interview calls, and we're really excited to have Jacqueline Martinez here, the VP of People and Performance at GrowthDay. I'm going to give her a more formal introduction in just a minute and let a few more people roll in. And then the other thing I want to just quickly go over is what WellFound is. For those of you who maybe have joined through LinkedIn or some other social media post, WellFound is who's presenting this call today. We help you get hired by cutting edge startups. We're formerly known as AngelList Talent. We've been around for about 10 years or more than 10 years now, I should say. And we've made over 8 million matches, and we have over 150,000 tech jobs in our system. And we help people get hired by startups, but also now as WellFound has grown, it also includes like enterprise and public companies as well. So focusing on engineering, marketing, design, product manager roles, and similar types of roles. So on to the good stuff. I'm happy to introduce Jacqueline Martinez. She is a seasoned recruiter and business leader with 14 years of experience spanning retail, manufacturing, tech, professional services, and media. She's known for her intuitive approach and strategic mindset and has built high-performing teams across fast-paced and mission-driven environments. Jacqueline thrives at the intersection of people, purpose, and performance, matching top talent with meaningful roles while driving culture and growth from the inside out. Her leadership is grounded in clarity, creativity, and communication, and she brings a unique ability to scale teams with heart and precision, which is something that I love. She's passionate about creating work environments where people feel seen, inspired, and set up to win. So we're really grateful to have you here with us today, Jacqueline.
I'm so grateful to be here. Thank you so much for that, Rachel, and thank you for the invitation.
Oh yeah, no problem. Okay, so getting started with our first question, it's about, just the brass tacks, how to get started building a brand. So Teresa asked, I am most curious about how to begin your professional brand. Where does someone start, and what is the strategic process?
I love that question. Well, I first just want to say that I'm coming at all of this from a couple of different lenses. Obviously, Rachel mentioned I've been in recruiting myself, so still doing, interviews and phone screens myself for the last 14 years. Also been a candidate many times and have used these very things, trial and error on myself first to get hired and now have my dream job. And then lastly, I regularly support career transitioners or career changers who are looking to stand out or really get clear on, what they want and how to get to the next step in their career. And usually it's shifting from one to another in a bigger way than, what they feel either ready for or clear on. So I've, kind of been doing this work for a really long time. And this is something that I get a lot of questions on. Also, I read, hundreds of resumes a month. And so it's definitely more than the resume piece or the LinkedIn or the well-found profile piece. Although I love well-found, can we just give a shout out to well-found for providing this platform here today? Because I feel like it is super valuable and have been on the well-found platform myself as a recruiter since I think it was 2018, so a little bit of time. But here's what I wish more people would do when they go to start building their professional and personal brand is one, get really clear on what they want and who they are. So it's more about alignment than it is about either fitting in or standing out. And this is sometimes the hardest work. We all think like, oh, this is who I am. But when you really get down to start either writing a mission statement or creating a headline, a lot of us get blocked at that point because we haven't gotten clear on what's most important to us or how we stand out as, someone in our career or just a person. Because I don't know about you, but I bring everything with me to work. I, definitely keep boundaries, but I'm someone who like, you just see what you get and you get what you see. And I'm not different necessarily at home than I am at work. I'm just bring it all. So I would say the three most clear pieces of advice that I could give are the first step is one, be really clear with your mission statement. One sentence, what do you do and why? Then take that mission statement, create a clear, bold LinkedIn headline or well-found headline. Honestly, I would do both and make it reflect what you want to do next. That could be what you are doing in your career now. It could be a new, place that you're stepping into. And then three, I would pick 1 to 2, maybe 3 themes that you really want to be known for and just repeat them often, whether you're a social person and you like to post about it, or it's something that you talk about often in your leadership or in your day-to-day job. Wherever you're spreading your message, I would definitely keep those themes on repeat so that, when that theme comes up, you're thought of. The last piece is like, don't overthink it. Branding is a promise that you keep across your materials, meaning your LinkedIn, your well-found profile, your resume, the interviews that you have, and also how you show up. So are those things matching? That's the promise. So if I can read your profile as a recruiter and instantly know what kind of impact you make, then you're already ahead and we're already, connecting at that point. So that's the advice I would give on that one.
Awesome. I love that advice. And I like driving home that idea that it should be consistent and that it's a promise. And just a note to well-found users, we have an actual like looking for section in your profile that is exactly that professional kind of summary that Jacqueline's talking about. So watch out for that in your profile pages. So that should help. Okay, so our next question is how do you build an authentic personal brand without turning off future employers? So this question comes from Kabir. And I'm just sort of summarizing what he said here, but that's essentially what he was asking was building an authentic personal brand, either around career competencies or self, without companies being turned off by authenticity.
Love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Rachel. And thank you, Kabir, for the question. I can't see everybody in the room, but Kabir, if you're here, definitely shout out to you for, just showing up with a question. I think that's brave. And just wanting to go down the branding path is, it's brave because putting yourself out there can be a little bit scary. And it's definitely different people should take different approaches because we're all different. So many things are different between us. Our energy, are we meant to be an advice giver, or are we meant to be a leader? Are we meant to be someone who is more on the engineering side? Are we both? Like, there's so many different paths we can go. So it's hard to give one size fits all advice here, but I do think when you're putting yourself out there, you are looking to connect with a brand, right? A company. And the strongest brands or the places that you want to work for are typically going to be in line with your values, right? Otherwise, it probably won't be a match long term. And they're probably energy aligned with how you operate and who you are. So to attract the right people to your profile, you want to act in alignment or share, yourself in alignment with who you actually are, not putting on a front. For example, if you share that you're really an open collaborator and communicator and you love to bring people together, but then you get on an interview with a recruiter and it's like not that at all. You're very, direct, you're a pusher, and those are both different strengths and very, very good things. But if those two things don't align, then it's probably going to be a mismatch. So I would say, for example, in our company at GrowthDay, we want to talk to people who are really clear about what they value, how they work, why they do what they do. And so in authenticity then in their brand isn't necessarily being about raw and like really saying everything or being loud. It's really about that consistency and clarity that I mentioned earlier. So if you're thinking about how you can fit in or stand out, it's just what's true to you. Are you a person that likes to share a lot? Then share a lot. Or are you a person who kind of likes to keep things close to your chest, but share the 1 to 2 themes every once in a while, or share about your team, or share about the work that you do, or are you an advice giver? And I do take people through these exercises to help them understand what kind of person they are. Some people are like, oh, I'm so drained by social media. Okay, well, don't just completely fill out your profile on Wellfound, on LinkedIn, any other places you like to exist. Make your resume, your materials. I say resume. It can be any kind of materials, whether you have a portfolio or you have a website. Just make them awesome and reflect who you really are. And I realize that that's really general. Make them awesome. And we could talk more about that, but consistency is the name of the game here.
Awesome. Did that help, Kabir? I can see you're here.
Oh, hi.
Yeah, he's giving a thumbs up.
I'm just in a crowded place. But
Okay,
yeah, it was
great.
really helpful. Thanks, Jacqueline.
Awesome. Okay.
Oh, yay. So good to meet you. Sorry,
Okay.
back to you, Rachel.
No, all good. Um, it's always nice to have the actual person here when we're answering their question.
So fun.
So the next question is about LinkedIn. We got a few questions about this, but I'm going to read Arcana's question here. They ask, do I need to always post comment on LinkedIn to build a professional brand? And I guess we had other questions about LinkedIn, so anything else you've got to address?
Yeah, great question. I love LinkedIn. Thank you, Arcana, for that question. I know, yeah, several other people will probably have the same question. And no, the short answer is you don't need to post all the time and comment all the time. Because, in reality, as builders, we're startup people for the most part, right? So as builders, we're out there building and creating and doing the things, not just existing on LinkedIn. I happen to be because that's my role. But anyway, jokes aside, you do need a presence, even if you're not on there all the time. And the presence can be as bare bones as your profile is filled out. We have a clear indication of who you are and what you're about. We pretty much know your work history, and the about section accurately reflects what it is that you do, how you want to make an impact, and what you want to do. If you are in a searching capacity, then it's really helpful to know exactly what you're looking for. It's the first question I ask people when they reach out to me on LinkedIn, like, hey, do you have anything? Or hey, do you know of anything? I'm like, what do you do? What do you want to do? And what have you tried? So those are, definitely places to optimize. Have a photo, have a summary. If you can, comment once or twice a week on relevant posts with like, material that is of substance. So saying things that are either thought-provoking or asking questions. I do a lot of encouragement, but I do have moments where I go in and I, share some insight or ask questions in places that actually matter to me. Again, the name of the game is one, consistency, and two, alignment with who you actually are and what it is you actually want to do. And I would say, if you do want to go above and beyond, post on LinkedIn. Some people post every single day and we have the energy for that, and that's great. But you also don't need to announce that you're like leaving for a little bit if you don't want to. When you come back, the audience will be there. So, as a recruiter, I definitely looked at your LinkedIn before I interview you. So if it backs up, what your resume says and also gives me a feel for who you are, then that's super powerful. And even one post that reflects your voice and mission can help someone really remember you. It doesn't have to be a ton of activity. So that's what I'll share on that one.
Makes so much sense. Okay, so the next question we had was from Mary, which was, how can you make yourself stand out when there are hundreds of other applicants for the same role? Which is a question we keep getting, but I think everyone has a different tip on how to help with the situation.
Yes, Mary, that is so real. I see 200 to 500 applicants for a role sometimes. And the people who stand out are not the flashiest. They are the clearest. Again, I feel like I'm repeating myself, but you see a theme here. When you tailor your resume to, make sure it reflects who you are, what you want to do, it's pretty succinct, and there's a mission to it. When I can look, because we have like, what, 5 seconds to look at a resume sometimes, and I dig deeper when there's interest there. But when I can tell what it is that you've found, where you found success and where it is you want to go, that's an instant connection for me. I know whether or not we should keep going down this path. And so if you do have the time, I would put the intention toward tailoring your resume to the job that you're putting in for. It seems like a lot of work, and I would say fewer applications done with intention and the tailoring are better than putting in a lot of general applications. The intention definitely takes things up a notch. And when you do that, use the company's own language. So say you're planning to GrowthDay. Our mission is to help everyone make self-improvement a way of life. Go a step further, look at the job description, and you see that we are hiring for a senior software, or principal engineer rather. And the mission of that role is to help unify, our senior engineers, for example. And so if you're adding in a one-liner summary at the top of your resume that speaks to the mission and what we need, because we are a mission-oriented company. Not every company is going to think mission is number one. Then that will go very far. And I will probably call you right then and be like, can we talk? Let's go. And then when anyone wants to go a step further, you can reach out on LinkedIn with a very human message, not AI related, please. You can have AI help you write it, but when it's like, you know, the cookie cutter one that LinkedIn gives you, I'm like, you can be more creative than that, I promise. Or if you comment something meaningful on, you know, one of the company's posts, that really helps, and it actually does stand out. It's not spam, it's not a just following up, it's something that shows that you care. And I noticed that, our company notices that. And I've even had leaders and social media managers on our team send me things from people who've done that and be like, look at this person, look how, you know, they're standing out from social media. And it really goes a long way. And we've had conversations from people doing that. So I would say those are two standout ways. Can I add a third? Do I have time, Rachel? Okay, so a lot of us are here in the tech world, and one of the things that a lot of tech companies do is they have some sort of product community of some kind. And we do have this standing product kind of, it's kind of a demo, but it's more like a community conversation that a lot of it's for product users, but our applicants sometimes go to those to learn more about the product. And when they do, they interact with, you know, either people on our team or other people in the conversation. And that also stands out. And so not only are they learning about the product to see if this is a place that they want to work and a product that they want to work on, but they're also standing out to the people who are, you know, putting on the community conversation. And those conversations always get back to me, and we usually move things forward. So I just want to say those are three ways to use your creativity and humanness and clarity of who you are and what you want to stand out.
Oh, awesome. I love that tip about really looking at the product and finding a way to engage with it. We haven't heard that one before. That's perfect. Okay, so the next question we have is from Colleen. And actually the next two questions are a little bit about this theme of how to represent shifts in work or people who are trying to kind of make a little bit of a pivot. So she says, I took a 2-year break from corporate to start my own business in a totally different space. I'm concerned with how that gap looks on my resume and how I tell that story. And as a result, I haven't put open to work on my LinkedIn, and I think I'm limiting my chances, which I guess I would probably agree with that last part. But I think it sounds like she's hesitant about how to frame it, and that's why she's not taking that next step. So what advice do you have for her?
Yeah, Rachel, I love that reframe. And thank you, Colleen, for sharing that and being so brave and open with that. I think that the open to work banner is kind of, you can be successful with it or without it. So, but I understand the intention behind putting it on, meaning like, okay, I'm open for conversations. And I see this a lot as a recruiter. People who do go down the entrepreneurial path and it either pans out or it doesn't, and they're, you know, considering how to have that conversation with companies as they go back into the world of working with teams. And at a lot of startups, you know, GrowthDay included, we actually value entrepreneurial experience. So it often means you built resilience, you're an initiator, a true owner, leader, you know, you have a vision. So there's a lot of skill building that goes along with being an entrepreneur, as well as bravery. So what I think in this case matters most is how you tell the story. I wouldn't label it as a gap. I would label it instead as, or frame it really as a different kind of story. So for example, for the past 2 years, I've launched and I've ran my business where I deepened my skills in, name your skills. And now I'm excited to bring that experience back into a team setting. And here's how I can contribute to your team. And so when you own your story and are really clear about how it has grown you in your career, it becomes a strength. And shying away from it is something that I see across the board, even with people who don't go into entrepreneurship, you know, people who change jobs for any reason. It's, you know, met with kind of like this inquisitive, I don't know, like spy work, investigator work from a recruiter or, you know, a hiring manager. But if you're telling the story, because it's your story to tell, you're not lying, please never lie, but you're telling the story about your transitions between your roles and how they've grown you and what they've added to your career and how you're now a better person in your career and life because of them. So you're definitely not behind, Colleen. You're just more aware of what you want now, which is beautiful. So that's kind of what I would apply in this situation and any other situation, because not all of us have worked for one job our whole career. And if you have, like, that's incredible. But there's always a story to tell. And something that I tell candidates a lot is, hey, I realize that your resume is just a document. Like, it's just a piece of paper, and people are not pieces of paper. So I'm interested, I really want to hear your story. Like, let's talk about your transitions. Like, what did you learn? What happened? And I really do think that not only brings in the people part of it, which I think is really important, but it also, like, learning why people made the decisions they made. Yeah, it just gets you get to know the match better early on, which I think is really important too. So that's what I'll share in that case, Rachel.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that own your story kind of mantra. I believe in it myself, I think. Okay, and then this last prepared question that we have is from Chimera, which I might be pronouncing your name wrong, and I'm sorry if I am. So they ask about, it's also about like how to brand and someone who's like pivoting a role or industry. They say, I'm a UX designer and the market is very competitive at the moment. How to attract the type of role that I want, which is slightly different from my last role, meaning different industry, moving from design agency to in-house, knowing that I can design for anything, software as service or corporate, but only attracting roles identical to what I'm doing. So yeah, I guess the question here is like about how to sort of frame your past experience for the next role that you want.
Yeah, see this a lot too. Chimera. Sorry if I'm saying your name wrong. First of all, UX design is so impressive. I don't know how you all do it, but I'm sure, you know, when it comes to pivoting, I see this a lot with career changers. And I think the key thing here is telling the market what you want, not just what you've done. I'm sure your portfolio is in tip-top shape. You've done a lot of agency work, and that's, you know, well known on your portfolio. And so I would definitely make sure that your call them marketing materials. So that's your LinkedIn, your well-found profile, any other profiles you have out there, your resume. If you do a cover letter, which that's another subject, cover letters can be beautiful. They can also be boring. It really depends on you. But I do think they are a chance to tell your story without being able to talk to someone. So if you can submit one, make it in your own words and tell your own story. Anyway, I would start with your LinkedIn headline and summary. You know, something like UX designer with deep agency work or experience, now seeking an in-house product design role where I can build something long-term or have like long-term impact. Sorry, I'm not saying it perfectly, but you get the gist. So it's like very clear what you're looking for. And then on your resume and in your interviews, you're then highlighting your experience that overlaps with in-house needs. So in-house, what do they need? Collaboration, shipping and sprints, cross-functional work, anything on the job description that looks very unique to that in-house. That's when you say something like, okay, this is how I've done this. This is how I've done this. This is how I've done this. Because at GrowthDay, for example, we look for people who match patterns, not just people who've done the exact thing before. We just want to see that they can, and they have the skills to do that. And honestly, agency work is tough, sometimes a lot tougher, you know, and so it just really depends on the situation. But I would definitely highlight the skills and the resilience that you've gained from being in agency work, and just tweak your marketing materials so that you are showing up a little bit differently online, and then making it really clear on all of them what it is that you are looking for and target. I'm sure you're already targeting those places. But I would study the job descriptions. I know this sounds nerdy and job descriptions are not written perfectly, I know, Some of them are written terribly, but study, like try to get what it is that they're actually looking for and then highlight why you are already a master at that. So hopefully that helps.
Awesome. I hope it helps too. And also it sounds like something that can, advice that you can apply to almost any job that you're applying to.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Well, that is the end of the prepared questions. What we can do is move on to some of the questions from the audience. I'm just gonna change my view so I can see more people. 1 second. And I'll start with some of the questions that are in the chat. I'm gonna call on you if you haven't said that you'd like me to read it out loud. The first question that we have here is from Eric. Eric, do you want to ask your question out loud?
Sure.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Hi,
I can.
Eric.
Oh, hi.
Hi.
Hello. Thanks for your time. Yeah, I just wanted to see about, I know that a lot of agencies are doing filtering with the resumes. Obviously, there's thousands and thousands of applicants, right?
Mhm.
Can you share some of your filterings, what it is that you look for as somebody who's trying to look for a role to help maximize that search?
Absolutely. Great question, Eric. I know AI is kind of taking over, huh? And some of there's a great use of AI out there. And some of it can feel limiting. So I think it's a really valid question. I would say when you're looking at the job description, the top like 3 bullet points under what, basically the job requirements, like what do we need? What do we want to see from this role? Not necessarily the background, although I would say top 3 from probably both are probably going to be the filters. So for example, Eric, what line of work are you in, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah, so I do finance transformation,
Oh, cool.
FP&A, finance stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, and I
Okay.
know there's a lot of competition out there. So
Yeah, that's super impressive. So in a job description, the top 3, there's like 3 main portions of a job description. There's going to be more in, other companies, but 3 main pieces that affect your chance of getting hired are like the summary, what it is, what are the job requirements, what do we need this person to be doing, and then the background requirements. What do you need to have already accomplished or done in your life in order to match what we're looking for? And I would say the top 3 bullet points from job requirements and background requirements are probably going to be the filters. So just like dialed down, like in FP&A, or I think that's what you said, in finance, we need someone who can, and I'm making it up here because that's not my industry, I apologize. But it's like, we need someone who is really deep in the data. So it's like data. We need someone who, I can't even think of finance terms. I'm sorry, that's how far removed I am from finance at this point. But do you have, 5 years of experience? Do you have, whatever degree they're looking for, or, 7 years equivalent? And again, I'm totally making it up, but if you look at the bullet points, those are probably going to give you the answers to the filters that they're looking for. And what I would do with that information is add it into your materials. So whether that's you sharing that, if you do have those, adding it into your resume, and where, and just describing where you won in those areas. If it's something that you don't necessarily have experience with, you can add it into your cover letter if you're allowed to add one, or you can make it one doc with your resume and then you have it as keywords, and you can share in your cover letter, like, these are things I'm focused on learning and I'm really excited and here's why. If that's your, authentic voice and how you like to talk, that's how I talk. But adding in those keywords can help you get added into the search results versus added out, I guess is a good way to put it. Is that helpful, Eric?
yes, thank you.
Okay, perfect.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Eric. We have another question, which is from Monica. Monica, do you want to ask your question out loud, or do you want me to ask for you?
Hi. Yes, I can ask it.
Awesome.
Thank you, first of all, for taking the time for this. I've already found it helpful. And my question, you mentioned when answering a different question about the like the communities or the environments where you can get more insights into the product in that company. And I was
Mhm.
just wondering how do you find these? Is there like a specific term to find these communities?
I love that question, Monica. Um, let me think through that. So I'm a huge nerd, for example, and I love to study our industry. I love to study the tech industry, and partially because I'm in it, and I like to see what everyone else is doing out there, and partially because I just personally love tech. But I would say I don't know if there's a specific term. Community is something that products who care about community, and they're usually, more startup, they have a specific focus that does rely on community. They'll call it community. They might call it product it's not, that is product marketing, but maybe it's, and I don't know if Rachel, you want to add anything to this. I think every tech company, not, and I shouldn't even generalize it like that, but tech companies who care about the community aspect are doing this. So whether it is a Discord channel, for example, join the Well-Found Discord channel if you're not on it already. If it is I doubt we're doing Facebook anymore. If it is their own community, there are so many, like Circle, for example, has all these communities. Usually it is a community that they've created at their company. And the way that I would find it is by first going on their website and looking through all the tabs. There's usually an about or resources, or there's a community section, and just going and doing a deep dive on the companies that you're interested in. Because one, you do want to see, what they're all about if you're going to work with them, because that's a huge part of your life. Why wouldn't you? But then also it helps you understand more of their culture, because their community is probably going to reflect their culture. So I would do a deep dive on their website. If you can't find it on their website, which I can't imagine not, I would use your trusty AI friend and search, company name, community, or product, education, or, keywords like that. And then you can also use search like Google. And then also on LinkedIn company pages, they will also usually have a website, community piece, about piece, so you can dive deeper and just start finding links. It does sound like a lot of investigation work, but I promise it is worth it if you do get into that community and are able to either add value, get value, confirm that what you thought about the company was true, or maybe you think differently after entering the community, and then that's a win too, because you can see whether or not they would be a match for you long term. Hopefully that's helpful. Rachel, do you want to add anything?
Oh yeah, I guess I'd add just like a very simple thing, which is if a company is likely doing a community element to their startup, they probably have real support like we do at Well-Found, and that you might just reach out to their support team and ask, like, do you have any community resources? Is there I forget the name of the tool that we were using for our beta product, but there are also like some product feedback websites that are more like forums, more like a Reddit forum kind of style, where you can ask questions and get help from other people using the product. So you could also look out for those types of things. Megan, do you know the name of what I'm talking about? The product feedback tool? I can't think of it right now.
Canny?
Oh, could be like Canny. What was the other one that we preferred that's a little bit more, yes.
Feature base?
Yeah, feature based. Yeah, you can look out to see if they have a feature base. So like search feature base and then the company name. But I think reaching out to their support would probably point you in the right direction of what they have and maybe simplify it. And you could also be looking at things like product demos. You could search in Reddit to see if people are talking about the product in Reddit. If there isn't anything formalized, you might find people at least talking about there, and you might not be networking the same way that Jacqueline was talking about, like talking to PMs that might be looking at that, but you might learn a lot for like an interview, let's say, and that could help inform and like just show your care for the product that you're trying to show enthusiasm for. Like any little pieces of information that show that you put research into it, I think does. I don't know how you feel about that, Jacqueline, but I would imagine.
Oh, that is amazing advice. How could I forget support team? They're like the backbone of what we do, right? I love our support team, but I would agree with you in that, and here's an example. Every time someone does that, whether they show up to the product community chat or, they reach out in the product, I get a call and they're like, oh, that's a candidate. They talked to me. And I'm like, oh, they. And that's definitely a standout moment. So yeah, even if it's not talking directly with a PM or somebody that you want to get hired by, at least you're learning more and you're interacting, and that can pop up in more ways than you might think internally.
Awesome. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So much for your question. Really good question. Okay, let me see what the next question is here. Oh, I think, Kabir, did I skip over your other question?
I just added a new one, and I noticed you read Colleen's message, and I had a similar question, but obviously, if it's better to move along, that's fine as well. Whatever y'all recommend.
Yeah, why don't I continue with some other people's first questions, and then I can circle back if we have time, if that sounds okay.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Awesome. So I'm just taking a look here. Justin, I'm not sure I quite understand your question. Do you want to ask it out loud?
Oh yes, thank you for your time. And yeah, in some cases, when I apply some jobs, I work as a software engineer, and when I applied with my reasons and I click the apply buttons, I got unfortunately message immediately. So unfortunately, you are not selected for these positions, and we cannot move forward with other candidates. So, but oh, I'm very disappointed at the moment. So I'm writing the cover letter again to recruiters with their email, but they just replied to me, oh, this is excellent and we can move forward with you. So I'm not sure how does it happens in, yeah, it is AI process, that kind of things.
Mm.
Can I ask one contextual question? Is that in Well-Found specifically, or in any job?
Any other, yes,
Any of
the other
them? Okay, so
opportunity,
you're
yes.
talking about when there's an automatic kind of decision right after sending in the application.
Yes,
Got it.
yes.
Jacqueline, do you have any context on why that might happen? Maybe it's a system thing.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Justin. And that's for anyone that is really, really tough to have you're putting yourself out there and you have an immediate rejection, and that doesn't feel good. What I can say is that's something that I've really tried to avoid my whole talent career, is making people feel like this isn't a great place to be. So, from the company standpoint, they might need some feedback, but the intention hopefully isn't that we want people to feel rejected right away. Their intention is most likely we want to save ourselves some work. We have a lot of interest in this role, and we're trying to use filtering to figure out which people are going to be a best match. There are some places out there, and I mean, technology has evolved so much recently, but I know places like LinkedIn, for example, you can put filtering on applications where, it's like country, you can filter by skill, you can filter by role. I mean, you can, so many filters, and then it can give you an automatic decision basically. And sometimes that's very, very helpful from a company standpoint. So that's the context that could be happening. But it can also hinder having conversations with people who are actually a great match, like it sounds like it is in your case, Justin. So yeah, that's unfortunate whenever that happens. And if that were to ever happen on any of my, applications, I would want someone to tell me. So if it feels good and you can, share that experience with them in a great way, maybe it's something that you can bring up. And they can work through it on their end and try to either remove that or change it so more people don't experience that in the future with other roles, right? Because you want this one. But it could also be something that they don't know about, and it's happening without them knowing. So again, there's so many reasons, but I have seen where places like LinkedIn will give you filters and then automatically reject people. And while that can be helpful for the recruiter, it doesn't always feel good for the experience as a candidate. And we're just trying to get jobs out here, So I'm really, really impressed with you that you did reach out to them and kind of make your case. It sounds like maybe you already gave that feedback a little bit, And so I'm excited for you to keep going down that trajectory, but that's the only context that I can think of without really knowing too much of the details. Is that helpful, Justin?
Oh, sorry.
Okay, sounds makes sense. And yeah, thanks for a clear explanation about it. Yeah, and the situations. I really appreciate it. I will definitely contact you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Justin. The thing that I was thinking about while you were talking, Jacqueline, was that it could also be knockout questions, which we've heard a couple of recruiters talk about. In our system, we sort of make everything transparent. Like if you're not uh applicable to a job because you need visa sponsorship, for example, and the company doesn't provide it, we just let you know so you don't bother applying. But I think some other platforms don't have that level of sophistication, so it might actually just be knocking you out if they've got it on the back end that it says like don't accept anybody with this quality. So that could it's an unfortunate thing, but it's maybe helpful to know that it could be they were never going to be allowed to hire you. Then that's why you got this sort of immediate response, which is depressing, but at least you didn't waste any more time, or I don't know. It's not like the most positive thing, really.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe that helps.
Okay, thank you.
It's another reason why I love Well-Found.
Oh, good.
They do make that very transparent. And I do think it's just clear as caring, right?
I agree. Yeah, it's maybe not like the best thing for people to see sometimes, but I think it helps make sure that their efforts are towards things that are going to be real opportunities. So
Nice.
the next question we have is from Vesta. Vesta, do you want to ask your question out loud?
Sure, and you sort of talked to that before, so only if there's anything to add to how important are the cover letters? I feel like, my resume is kind of the fact, so they don't really change as much from job to job unless you change out, one word that you see in the job. But the cover letters is kind of where I spend more time to try and showcase maybe some of my personality. But I guess and not every job obviously requires that, but there are enough that ask for those. So I just wasn't sure, do you really look at cover letters, or should I really more focus on resumes?
Great question, Vesta. I used to be a cover letter no. I thought they were a waste of time because I would see the same one over and over again. To who this may concern, I'm super interested in your role. And it was just boring. Everyone would say the same thing, which I agree with you, Vesta. I totally think it's now an opportunity for you to showcase your personality. And to answer your question in short, I do think spending more time on your resume than your cover letter, your resume is most likely, it'll be tailored, role to role, but that will be your standout, biggest, flashiest marketing piece. But secondly, your cover letter should be really unique to each place you're applying. And I think a couple of opportunities we have in the cover letter are, one, connecting yourself with their mission. So what is the company's mission? What do they value? And writing it in a way that sounds like your voice, not something that, is necessarily corporate speak. Maybe you speak like that. I definitely don't. I would probably talk like this. This is why I'm so excited. You're involved in this. This is your mission. My mission is very similar. I really want to support people in that way. It's really inspiring. So connecting with the mission, connecting with the heart of the role, like I mentioned before. So looking at the role description, job description, being like, okay, what is the essence here? What do they really want this person to do? What is the gap they're trying to fill? And speaking to that in your cover letter. And if I know we're not all marketers here, which is totally fine, but this is an opportunity if you want to go next level bonus points. If you even just look up or Google, hooks in marketing, it's very simple. What is the thing that made you buy that thing? It was the hook. And so your hook is something that you get to start with in your cover letter and talk, basically grab their attention. This is why you should look at me as a candidate. This is why you should have a conversation. And now with AI, it's really easy to write those, obviously make it sound like you. Don't completely borrow their words, but you can totally craft a cover letter, that is really compelling and speaks directly to the people who are going to be interviewing you. And so that's what I would say about cover letters. I would spend time on them.
Thank you.
Awesome. And the next question we have is from Simon. I love this question. Simon, do you want to ask your question aloud?
Yes, thank you. So I'm wondering with branding, should your brand be based on a hard skill that you have, your expertise, like I know about this, everything in the world can be fixed by this thing that I know, or should it come from a soft skill, like I deliver it with empathy, with holisticness, I tell the story, like what are you really aiming for here with branding?
Yeah, great question, Simon. So nice to meet you. I think it's a combination of things, and this is really depends on the individual, but I will guide the conversation with a couple of questions. So something that I typically talk to individuals or career changers, I don't know if that's the right term, but people who are looking to make a move. The first thing we talk about is getting clarity on where you want to go next. And so we're asking questions like, what activities or tasks do you consistently enjoy and feel energized by? And these might be so mundane, but they get to the heart of who you are and where you most want to go. Building onto that, what are your talents, strengths, or skills that you enjoy using? And if you don't know, or if you know that's not clear to you right now, like I have so many, I'm good at everything. Okay, what do your friends and coworkers constantly give you kudos for? And then what are the themes there? Moving into kind of next level. So what aspects of your past experiences or achievements have brought you the most satisfaction or joy? What values or principles cause you to be that, or causes are you super passionate about? Of what environment, so asking all these questions about yourself and then basically looking at the themes or the things that are most repeated through those answers are initial clues. Like, okay, these are kind of what I'm about. And then from there, you can really dial it down and think, okay, strategically, what do I want to be known for? What do I really care most about? Because if you have a hard skill, Simon, and you're like, I am genius at this, but I hate it. You probably don't want to be known for it. So, I mean, if you're a genius, then maybe, but most of the time it needs to be something that not only are you really knowledgeable or an expert, or on your way to expertise at, and you actually enjoy it. So it can be a soft skill, it can be a hard skill, it can be a knowledge base, it can be an industry or a subset of an industry. And that really depends on the themes that come out after you've done, a little bit more of that self-exploratory work. And I would also connect it with your industry and your role of where you want to go next. Because it's so interesting, right? Like, for example, I really have always been in talent and recruiting, and I always put the people first. So people was like high on my list, but I was also really, really, really interested in personal development and growth. And those two things felt very far apart back then before I started here. And I was like, I'm looked at the weird, people think I'm weird. I'm a weird HR person. I'm not your typical HR person. And I just felt like kind of a little bit of an outsider in my industry, didn't really know how to position myself. And then I was like, I'm just gonna embrace it and like, I'm just gonna do both. And that's really how I got to be in a personal development company doing exactly what I do. And that's just like a really interesting, maybe outlandish example. But I do think that that kind of situation is available for everybody. You just need to own it. So hopefully that's helpful, Simon.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, awesome.
Awesome. So helpful and really cool just to kind of hear about how doing that self-exploration work kind of can lead people to roles that maybe really fit them, and that would be the most ideal situation for someone's next step. Ben has a question, which I'm going to read out loud because he says he's somewhere noisy or can't read. He says, how do you embrace missteps in past experiences? So for example, if you are part of a layoff, if you've been let go, and have it not automatically create a negative or disqualifying reality. So the question really is like how best not to sound like strictly bashing a company, but wanting to give full transparency. I hope this makes sense. Yeah. And they say thank you for your time. Yeah. What do you think?
What's their name again?
This is for Ben.
Ben, okay, awesome. Thank you for asking. This is tough and such a reality. I don't even know the percentage, I would be guessing, but half, I would say, of the people that I speak to have gone through some sort of layoff or an involuntary transition away from their role at some point. And it's just the times we're in. So this is another moment where you get to own your story, and also focusing on the facts and what you chose to do with those facts. So the facts are, I was in a role and this is what I did, and this is the impact that I made. And the company decided to have transitions. I mean, you can talk about why, you don't have to, but say it was, they were really honest with you that it was a financial thing or they had to do layoffs. I mean, it's usually a financial thing. So the company, had to do layoffs, and I was involved in that layoff. And here's what I've been doing to, continue either building my skill set or how I've been spending my time, or really what that's taught me is, and this is why I've decided I want to work, closely with a company like yours. And so you're giving the facts, but you're also making it about your growth and your experience and your building and your focus on the future without saying anything negative about that company. Yep, that happened. And this is what I learned. And so now we get to move on. And I think that can be a really powerful place to be. It's definitely uncomfortable. But whenever someone tells me that, I'm so grateful. I'm like, oh, and also I'm so sorry that that happened to you. Like, truly, it's not an easy place to be. So that's how I would approach that one. Is that helpful, Ben? Oh, sorry, he's off.
Yeah, Ben said he couldn't speak out loud, but
That's okay.
yeah, you can write in the chat if you want to say anything, Ben. I think that was helpful. And I think one thing that we keep hearing from recruiters is that like often recruiters have experienced layoffs themselves. And so the first person that you're talking to at a company during that first screening call might be really empathetic and understanding about transitions and really have experienced it themselves. So just something like for peace of mind to keep in mind, I guess. The next question we have is from Ejek Osawar. Do you want to ask your question out loud, or do you want me to read it out loud?
Hello. Yeah, I think I can read it out.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. So I think my question borders around building a personal brand, and also you talked about authenticity and being consistent with what you're saying. And so how would I'm coming from a background where I've worked in different spaces, and I've worn different hats across the companies I've worked for. And so how do I sort of capture this on maybe my LinkedIn profile without leaving out some important details that I think maybe recruiters might like to see, and also maybe tailoring my resume or my CV for the particular role I want to apply for. Say, for example, I'm in the software field and I've been a full stack developer before. I've also worked as a backend developer before, and I want to apply for a full stack position now. And so how would I go about that? And yes, so that's my question. Yeah.
Thank you. That is an amazing question. And I think it's something that a lot of people in the startup space also are challenged by, because in the startup world, we get to do a lot of things, wear a lot of hats, and get a lot of experience. And so I think as you're looking to transition back into it sounds like you're wanting to go back in as a full stack engineer. And I would make that, sorry, you unmuted, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I would make that clear across all of your profiles. Whether, you position yourself as, jack of all trades, or, engineer with a lot of experience, or I'm a full stack engineer. And then when you talk about yourself and you share your experience, you do get to detail how you've been able to win in the areas of full stack development, backend development. You've probably done mobile, like all of the things. You get to showcase what projects you got to win on, what parts you played, what you moved forward and where you had impact, what you've learned. Maybe you've had time in the product management world. A lot of times companies are looking for that specific experience that you're sharing. Like sometimes I've heard of people saying, like, I want a full stack engineer who's strong on the back end side. Like, so being able to share all of that while also making it clear where you want to focus across all your profiles, so they're all the same, I think is a great way to approach that. Did I get it right? Did I miss something?
Yeah, thank you. That's very helpful.
Okay, if there's anything else, feel free to share.
Okay.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, we just have 3 minutes left, so I think we do need to wrap up. But Jacqueline, this has been, oops, I didn't need to jump all the way ahead. This has been so helpful. I have learned so many things. I hope other people have learned things too. I just wrote to, I think it was Anwar, who had a question left over. I passed on the Ask a Recruiter playlists. So we do have some other, we have like over 12, I think now, previous sessions that might answer some of your questions. So take a look at the topics there and see if anything might help. I'm also going to join into the Discord after this call, and you can join our webinar discussion channel in there, and I'm happy to try to answer any of your remaining questions that we haven't gotten to. And I encourage you to do so. That we've got like kind of a community building there. I'm going to try and do some office hours maybe next week, just to hang out really casual and just answer anyone's questions about Wellfound, or anything really to do with candidate experience that I can help with, or at least help find good resources for. So feel free to join me there. And then please, if you can, fill out our survey. Alejandro is going to drop it into the chat. He's on my team, and he's here as well. And it really helps us to know, how did this go? Is it a good experience for you? Is there a topic you'd love for me to cover? I read every single comment. And it's also a way of signing up to be included in all of the invitations for our future Ask Recruiters, which we're going to be continuing to run. So if you want to join again, make sure to sign up there, and I will make sure to send you an email about upcoming events. And then that's it. Thank you so much, Jacqueline. This was awesome. I love your positivity and just like overall care. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. It was so much fun. I appreciate you and Wellfound team for asking me, and thank you all for joining today.
Ready to find your next role or discover top talent? Visit us at wellfound.com.